Throughout the history of the Church, Christians have carefully studied who Jesus Christ is. They have had conversations about him, written about him, sung about him, and served him in a variety of ways. Sometimes their descriptions of who he is have even taken the form of art on the walls of church buildings and in books. There are plenty of biblical descriptions of who Jesus Christ is. Questions about his unique status as both God and man, however, take careful language to answer. Nestorius of Constantinople and Cyril of Alexandria had a sincere disagreement about how exactly the deity and humanity of Jesus relate to one another. In a previous video, we explained that their disagreement resulted in the calling of the Church's Third Ecumenical Council in Ephesus. In this video, we will examine the events that transpired before, during, and after this council. Much had changed in the Roman Empire between the Second Ecumenical Council in Constantinople in the year 381 and the Council of Ephesus in 431. During those 50 years, barbarian tribes swept through the Roman Empire and conquered the entire western portion. Rome, the capital of the Western Empire, was besieged and sacked by the Visigoths in the year 410. The Visigoths were a group of barbarians who had been pushed out of their home north of the Danube by the Huns in the year 376, so the Visigoths sought refuge among their Roman neighbors. Eventually, the Visigoths fought against the Romans and captured Rome in the year 410. These and other barbarians, who had some knowledge of Christianity, favored the heresy of Arianism. Western Romans either fled to the Eastern Roman Empire or submitted to their barbarian conquerors. Empire-wide law and order was replaced by warring factions among the barbarians. Constantinople itself was able to withstand the invasions. Theodosius II, the grandson of Theodosius the Great, would become the Eastern or Byzantine emperor at the age of 7 in the year 408. 20 years later, in the year 428, the position of Bishop of Constantinople would become vacant. Theodosius II overrode the claims of local replacements and invited Nestorius to fill the position. Nestorius was a monk from Antioch, whose understanding of Jesus Christ was such that he felt uncomfortable referring to Mary as the Mother of God. Christians in Constantinople had been referring to Mary as the Mother of God in their worship for years. Since there was a rivalry between Christians in Antioch and Alexandria, the Christians in Alexandria took up the cause of Mary's being referred to as the Mother of God, or God-bearer. The Greek term for God-bearer is Theotokos. The Alexandrians, led by their bishop Cyril, insisted that Mary be referred to as the Theotokos, or bearer of God, and those who supported Nestorius rejected the term. In the year 429, Cyril promoted the term Theotokos in his Easter letter to the monks of Egypt, wrote 3 letters to Nestorius about it, and pronounced 12 anathemas, or condemnations, against Nestorius' rejection of the term Theotokos. Nestorius responded to Cyril's letters and anathemas with his own letters and preaching. Cyril called a local council in Alexandria, which condemned Nestorius' views in the year 430. He also wrote a letter to Celestine, the Bishop of Rome, to explain Cyril's and Nestorius' views and ask for support. A local council met in Rome to discuss the theological particulars of the matter. That council also concluded that Nestorius's views were heretical and demanded that Nestorius either recant or be deposed as Bishop of Constantinople. In November of 430, Emperor Theodosius II decided to call for an ecumenical council to meet in Ephesus to decide the matter once and for all. Sometime between November and when the council finally met in June, John of Antioch, a longtime friend of Nestorius, wrote to Nestorius and advised him to accept the term Theotokos for the sake of peace in the church. Nestorius reportedly agreed, but the council plans continued. Emperor Theodosius II had requested that only a small number of bishops attend who reflected accurately the main regions of Christianity. Cyril responded by inviting 50 of his own bishops, a group of lesser clergymen, and a band of monks. When he arrived a few days before Pentecost Sunday, June 7th of the year 431, he found Nestorius there with 16 bishops, some clergy, and a large armed bodyguard. Memnon of Ephesus brought 12 bishops from Pamphylia and 50 from Asia who were supporters of Cyril, and by June 12th, Juvenal from Jerusalem arrived with 15 Palestinian bishops who supported Cyril as well. Memnon closed the churches of Ephesus to Nestorius and his supporters, and there were some verbal exchanges between each side, though Nestorius and Cyril never spoke directly to one another. John of Antioch sent a message to the council saying that he was on his way from Antioch with his contingency, but Cyril could wait no longer. He announced on June 21st that the council would begin the following day. Despite the protest of 68 bishops and the absence of significant Antiochian and Roman clergy, the council began on June 22nd. Nestorius refused to appear at a council presided over by his main opponent, Cyril. This would be like a modern trial run by the prosecution. Cyril had the Nicene Creed of 325, his second letter to Nestorius, and Nestorius's reply read aloud to the council. Cyril asked the bishops to vote that Cyril's letter was consistent with the Nicene Creed. They did, and they declared Nestorius's doctrine to be blasphemous and opposed to the Nicene Creed. In the end, 197 bishops signed the condemnation of Nestorius. On June 26th, John of Antioch and his contingency finally arrived in Ephesus. As they were approaching the city, it was reported to them what had transpired in their absence. They were upset at being left out of the council's proceedings, so they met at a separate place where John was to stay. Ignoring the decisions of Calistine of Rome and the Council of Ephesus, 43 bishops signed a creed in condemnation of Cyril, Memnon, and those who supported them. These documents were sent to Emperor in Constantinople, who declared Cyril's council void and ordered that no bishops should leave the city. On July 10th, 3 representatives of the Celestine, the Bishop of Rome, arrived, namely Bishops Arcadius and Projectus and Presbyter Philip. They read a letter from Celestine to the council. The 3 representatives agreed that the council's condemnation of Nestorius was consistent with Celestine's condemnation of Nestorius the previous year. Canons, Fon 1-6 of the council, warned anyone who might have agreed with Nestorius, or would later agree with Nestorius, that they would likewise be deposed from their positions of leadership in the church and excommunicated from the church. The decisions of the council were to be considered permanent throughout perpetuity, and no writings against the council's decision would be invalid. Cyril wrote a letter to the emperor, who was not present at the council, to report the council's final verdict. The emperor ratified the council's final decisions, hoping that this would achieve unity among the churches. The emperor also ratified the council's decision to appoint Maximian as Nestorius's replacement as Bishop of Constantinople. The next year in 432, John of Antioch and Cyril of Alexandria wrote to one another, hoping to accomplish a peaceful agreement that would last. In the year 433, they agreed to a formula of reunion, which conceded the anathema of Nestorius and his teaching, but also retracted Cyril's 12 anathemas against Nestorius and accepting the terminology of Jesus's divine and human natures. Cyril agreed as long as the two natures were not considered to be two separate persons. Many of Cyril's own supporters were frustrated with Cyril's compromise. However, it prepared the way for a decisive discussion on the exact relationship between Jesus' divine and human natures at the Council of Chalcedon in the year 451. The final formulation of the 451 Council, as we will see in another video, became the decisive statement of faith, which Christians in the West would agree finally and accurately represented true Orthodox belief about the relationship between the divine and human natures of Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for watching our video today. We hope you found it insightful and enjoyable. At Theology Academy, we're passionate about sharing knowledge and building a community of like-minded individuals who are eager to grow and learn together about the faith and religious studies in a credible, unbiased manner. If you enjoyed this video, we would love for you to support our mission by hitting the subscribe button and ringing the bell so you never miss an update or a new video from us. But that's not all. By signing up on our website, you can gain full access to all our exclusive content and become an integral part of Theology Academy. Your support not only helps us continue creating valuable content, but it also connects you with a community dedicated to deepening their understanding of theology and faith. So why wait? Head over to theologyacademy.net and become a member today. Together, let's explore and grow in faith.